Welcome to the Chaotic Good podcast. This is Wild Tanuki here with Subconscious Devil,
Hello.
and let's talk about some things we're interested in. So currently, we were just finishing watching some of the newer trailers that were coming out, and there are words to be said.
Yes, many words. So what do we want to talk about first? Do we want to talk about Alien Covenant and just kind of start there because, that 5 minutes you'll never get back from your life?
Oh god, I can't stand trailers that are just film footage because it's not really bringing me in. It's just showing me a film, like just a piece of the film, and I have no real context aside from what's showing me. Well, so normally if I see a trailer, I want to see like bits and pieces to get a general idea where the story's going.
Yeah, and the thing is I think it's one of those where it shows like the first few minutes, and I think that's honestly what it is. It's like the first almost 5 minutes worth of the movie, and it's just like, here's something to get you interested. But the reality of the situation is just like, here's the first 5 minutes of boring parts of the movie that nobody really wants to watch anyways. Let's just not skip to the good stuff and just show you the boring shit that you don't want to see. It doesn't get to any of the action. It just shows, like, okay, so this is the Alien Covenant. It's called Last Supper prologue trailer or something like that we're talking about. And it just basically shows them, they're about to go into cryo sleep. And it shows them sitting around this table drinking and shit like that. And it doesn't really go anywhere. That's all it shows.
And then at one point, there's a woman choking, apparently no reason other than to say a witty one-liner.
Well, you know what? I think that actually will lead into something, because if you remember, because this is supposed to be a sequel to Prometheus. At the end of Prometheus, what is it? The android feels like he is the creation that is meant to be, like, because Prometheus, the aliens were designed to basically kill off humanity. That's what they were designed for, by these overlord type aliens. And the android thinks that he is the chosen creation. So I'm wondering if it's maybe setting up something like that for later on in the movie. What do you think?
Well, from what I'm familiar with, I don't know if this started out this way or it evolved into this, but from the comics, the aliens were used as a test for the Predators. I can't remember if the Predators created them or not, but they wanted, like, the ultimate prey.
And I think that's where they were starting to go with Alien versus Predator. I think that they were either created by the Predators or they were found by the Predators. And the only way for them to breed, I don't know how, like, because there's two ways they breed. They either implant their eggs in a human host from the egg. Is that how this works? Like, the little alien is like the initial catalyst. They come out of the egg, they latch onto the human face, and then it explodes out of the chest, the chest burster scenes. And then as they grow, they obviously, each time they change, the queen lays an egg from the current iteration. And then whatever that egg latches onto adds more to its DNA. So it's like, each time it becomes more efficient of a killer. Do you see
normally how I've seen it, the facehugger latches onto a creature and it takes on the aspects of the creature. There's a base model of alien, and then there's variations. So there's the human variation, there's the predator variation. So each time it latches onto something, it's a variation of what the alien is. Or xenomorph, if you prefer that, for the people that are deeper in the lore.
Well, yeah, the xenomorph, yeah. So you have the queen. The queen lays the eggs. The queen is massive, obviously. It lays the egg. The egg spawns the facehugger. The facehugger implants another egg. Is it another egg, or is it what is it that it exactly implants? I mean, I'm assuming it's some sort of egg that incubates inside of a host, whatever species that host is. And then when it bursts out of the chest, it has, is it the characteristics of everything before it?
I think it's the characteristics of what the facehugger latches onto.
Okay, but now hear me out on this. What if a facehugger latches onto a human, creates the chest burster that turns into the xenomorph? Is the queen a xenomorph?
I need to really look that up, because I've never been clear on that. Considering I've not been too interested in xenomorph breeding habits.
I know, it's really difficult. I think they change canon in Prometheus, if I remember correctly. It's been a couple years since I've seen the movie. But I think that the xenomorph, the alien species, was bred specifically to be a world ender. Basically to kill off an entire species, because the humans were supposed to be in, like, a genetic modification of this other alien race. The humans were a disappointment. And then they flew to the, to where that temple or that spaceship or whatever it was that the higher aliens had built, and I guess the aliens got out, and killed everybody, and that's where the series is supposed to take off from. And the people, I don't know exactly what happens, but they take off from the planet, I'm assuming, I don't remember. And then they go into space, and then we have Alien Covenant, and something happens, and crazy horse shit. How do you feel about this possible analogy, or this possible series of events that I've come up with here?
I guess I'm not against it, but the whole timeline's a little wonky.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated to see where they go with this, just watching not the Last Supper trailer, but the original Red Band trailer.
Where
it goes a little bit more in depth of what they're doing, where they go out in this distant world and they finally land on this planet. Whatever that thing was that went in the guy's ear.
Yeah, that was really weird, wasn't it? I mean, that doesn't seem like... Okay, so you saw that part where it shows the guy and he's really pale, and then that thing starts to try and rip out of his chest, or out of his back. I'm wondering if maybe that, because you see him step on what looks to be some sort of pod, but it's not an egg. I'm wondering if maybe that thing that goes into his ear is some sort of parasite that turns him into a queen, and that starts, he breeds the eggs.
That's an interesting thought, but I don't think that's a direction they might be going. It could be. It's just too early to tell.
Yeah, I mean, we're not getting a lot out of these trailers, although I will say, just based on the Last Supper trailer, it's a good start for a movie, but it's not a good way to get me to go see the movie. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It doesn't make me feel invested that much. It doesn't make me feel excited. It's just all these people are around the table, they're doing their thing, they're socializing. That's fine, dandy, but it doesn't make me feel invested at all.
Okay, so based on the few the few people that you see, are you kind of excited about the cast, at least?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there's obviously some very interesting people there.
James Franco.
I wouldn't expect to play. Yeah.
James Franco playing the captain. That's a very interesting choice. I'm wondering if that was a wise choice, really.
I'm curious to see where he takes the direction of it. I really am. Because he's a very good actor, but I always see him mainly in goofier roles, and every time I see him in a more serious role, it always just puts me off.
Yeah, I mean, like, occasionally you'll see him, like, he'll do his goofy roles, like, what the fuck was that movie called?
Pineapple Express, obviously, and then
the interview. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, because it's been a while since I've seen Pineapple Express. But, he does those movies so that way he can make his money, and then he does shit art films that, to me, they're not interesting. I'm sure to somebody who's really into indie films and stuff like that, they're super interesting. But to me, it's just like, why the fuck waste your time? Why not just go out and... I mean, maybe if that's his passion, that's fine. And then you cast him in this role. I don't know. I don't know if I like it, I don't know if I really like where they're heading with James Franco being the captain. What's that guy from Eastbound and Down? What's his name?
Oh, God.
See, it's a good thing.
McBride.
Yes, okay. So, Danny McBride, how do you feel about this guy? I mean, I've only seen him in a couple things.
Every time I see Danny McBride in something, and it's more of a serious movie, I just don't like it. I don't know if it's his acting, or what it may be, or if it just doesn't fit with the plot very well. But I just don't seem to like him in serious roles.
See, and that's what I was going to say, is I've never seen him in a serious role. I've only seen him in goofy roles, like, what the fuck was that movie? 30 Minutes or Less. Have you seen that movie?
Oh, yeah.
I'm probably one of, like, 5 people in America that actually likes that movie.
I like that movie.
Oh, I love that movie. I mean, the movie's garbage, but it's a good movie for being a garbage movie.
Like, I'm skimming his filmography right now, and I'm just not seeing anything that pops out at me, really.
Yeah, and the only reason I know I haven't even seen Eastbound and Down. I've heard it's a good show, but I don't know, I got nothing on it.
Man, his whole career, basically, is, like, all I'm seeing is Sausage Party.
I still
This
haven't
is
seen
the
it.
end. I've not seen either. Kung Fu Panda, Your Highness, which is that weed medieval movie.
Yeah, that movie was stupid as shit.
Fanboys, Tropic Thunder.
Oh, Tropic Thunder was good. Fanboys was good too.
Yeah, Fanboys is absolutely great. Oh, and Hot Rod. I love Hot Rod.
I have no idea what that means. Those words mean nothing to me.
I'll explain it at a later date. Anyways, getting back to him in the film, this is really probably the first time I've seen him in any more serious role. Maybe I haven't seen him and I'm just kind of being biased.
I'm wondering, I mean, because he's a comedian. That's what he is. That's what he does. I'm wondering how he'll do, if he'll have the pacing or the timing for being in a more serious role. I'm actually really interested to see it.
Well, a movie that I bring up when people talk about comedians in serious movies is, I'm not sure if you've seen it. Have you ever watched Mr. Brooks?
Is that the one where he's a serial killer and Ryan Reynolds is his protege?
No, it's not Ryan Reynolds. It's Dane Cook.
Oh, Dane Cook, yeah.
Yes, that movie. There are certain things a comedian can bring to a movie.
Yeah.
You can't always get that good comedic edge with serious actors all the time. You can't expect them to constantly play serious roles and then give good comedy. That's a very specific skill. And on top of that, some bits of comedy just come from actions. Like just a simple action.
Yeah, you have to have that, the physical comedy part to it. And if you're a seriously, trained actor who's trained at wherever in some fucking crazy school or some shit, you're going to come with that serious, but you're not going to come with the comedic timing and the physical comedy. None of that stuff is going to be part of your wheelhouse,
Absolutely.
I completely agree with you on that. So, and to me, I feel like it'd be a lot easier to train a comedian to act serious than it would be to teach a serious actor to be funny.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they're serious actors who can't be funny. Maybe I just am not thinking of them right now, but I just don't see it all that often.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guarantee you, I say that now, and then I'm going to look at like my DVD collection or go through Netflix. I'm going to find like 20-some movies that are exactly like that. So I think we covered a lot on Covenant.
Yeah.
You want to move on?
Yeah. So what do we think about the new Power Rangers trailer? I mean, it looks like mostly just a rehash of some previous trailers, maybe?
Well, in general, the Power Rangers trailer that I have a problem with is everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, beyond costume design and those fucking gay little stone coins that glow all the way through, and oh my god. So you got a chance to look at the Zords, right? The quick little 2-second blip that they show them.
My whole problem with the Zords is they do that thing, which in some movies it's good, in some movies it's bad, and it does not play well in this movie. They try to make them look like organic robots.
Oh yeah, God awful.
They're not meant to look organic. They're supposed to look blocky. They're supposed to look like, oh, this is kind of an animal-looking shape, but you realize it's a robot.
Well, okay, so my main thing is, like, it shows a couple sequences of the Pink Ranger flying her pterodactyl, right? It's supposed to be a pterodactyl. It looks like a fucking pink jet. It's not a pterodactyl. What the fuck kind of crazy horseshit is that?
In fairness, this is the reason why I say make them blocky, because the original Power Rangers, it flew like a jet. It didn't flap its wings. It just kind of flew through the air. But that was okay because you kind of get the ability to look past it.
Well, okay, so let's move past the fact that, okay, neither of them flapped their fucking wings. I don't really remember. I didn't watch the Power Rangers. I haven't watched it in years. But, I mean, did they at least have, like, the arc of what it would look like maybe if it was kind of like an animal wing, or because this thing looked like a fucking, like, a jet, a fighter jet. That's all it looked like. It looked like a pink fighter jet. Doesn't look like anything nearly remote, like, not even remotely like an animal.
It looked a little bit because it had the head shape. The wings came up and was like kind of like a right angle deal. Like I said, it was blocky, but you could tell it was supposed to be like a pterodactyl or bird of some kind.
Yeah, this, like, there's no head to it. It doesn't look like it. Looks like a jet to me. And I'm sorry, that just doesn't play well. And then the other ones, it shows them all running, like, you see like 1.5 fucking Zords.
What they were trying to do in that, there's a scene, it's not, I don't know if it's classic or not.
Yeah, it's that specific one where it shows them all running together.
Yeah, where it's like the Red Zord,
red,
the
green,
T-Rex
blue, and yellow, yeah.
And then all that, like, it just comes up in order one at a time, and then they're all running together on a line. And that's very familiar if you ever watched the intro to the Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah, and I agree. I agree 100%. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Because of how realistic they are, it just don't play.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. So, okay, let's get beyond the Zords, because the Zords, I'm assuming we both agree that they look like shit. They don't look like what they're supposed to look like, and it's just...
And then, on top of that, the Megazord just looks like a gray human.
Oh, God. It almost reminds me of... What is that called? Pacific Rim. You know, the fucking big fucking fighting robot.
Yeah, like Gypsy Danger.
Yes, exactly. I mean, doesn't it remind you of that?
Yeah, it really does now that you mention it. I didn't think about that at first.
Now, and then you have the gold, what is that gold demon or gold dragon thing that they're fighting? I forgot what it's called.
I'm guessing they're trying to play it off of Goldar from the original series.
Yes.
But that's not what he was. He wasn't a being made entirely out of gold. So I'll give him a little bit of play with that because of the name.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Lawnmower Man. It has almost nothing connected to the source material.
Yeah, I agree. Now,
moving on.
Okay, so wait, Rita Repulsa. Okay.
Okay.
What do we think about Rita?
They were trying to, I guess, make it sexier. They haven't really explained her origins at all.
Yeah, and you know what? I will give them one thing. I mean, as an adult, she's hot, but that's about it. Yeah. I mean, to me, it has no. So far from what I've seen, it has no. Oh well, she kind of reminds me of back in the day when I was a kid. Back in the day when I was a kid. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, she was some old Asian lady, right?
She was a space witch.
Yes. Yeah, basically. I mean, wasn't she kind of old and she had that rah kind of voice?
Well, the reason why she was an old Asian lady is because they took the footage directly from Japan, from Super Sentai.
Okay.
That's who they're based off of. So they take that footage because it was super cheap at the time, and they brought it over here, and then they just edited it over with the live action sequences with the American actors. But other than that, when you don't see their faces, that's the Japanese footage.
So even the fighting sequences and all?
I believe so, yes.
Oh wow!
Well, the fighting sequences as Rangers.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the fighting sequences when it's them. So basically, in that entire show, there's like maybe 5 minutes per episode, or where they're actually filming something unique. Other than that, they're just basically dubbing it.
Actually, I'd say it's more like 5 or 6 minutes of the other style, like the Super Sentai, because in those stories, there's a lot of them acting, but if it shows anything of the scene of Rita Repulsa, that's Super Sentai, and then they obviously got the costumes come over from Japan. Yeah. That's usually how it works, is that once they're done filming all the stuff for that, they send over the costumes usually, or they buy out the costumes, and then they give it to the American actors.
Okay.
I don't think they've done that until recently. I think recently they started doing their own thing, and then it got back to Sandby. Okay,
so and now here's something really interesting. What do you think about the way like they're they're super strong and they can all run really fast and jump really high and really far and all this? What was that movie that they had that came out a couple years ago? Where was that? It was almost like a similar setup, where they found this rock and they touched it and they all got superpowers. And what the fuck was that movie? It was like a Blair Witch camera style.
Oh, that was Chronicles.
Yes. Now, does it not seem like they took that and applied it to the Power Rangers? Because if I remember correctly, in the original series, they didn't have like super strength and superpowers and shit, did they?
They did, but it was much more subtle. It was more like endurance instead of like super strength and all that. It's like they were tougher and they were stronger, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, like this, it shows them jumping over this massive cavern or this massive
a sink.
Yeah, the sync thing. Oh my god. That's just really weird. I mean, it's almost like they took Chronicle and tried to apply it to a franchise that has almost nothing to do with that.
I wouldn't say that.
Oh, it's the way.
Because it was more of like them trying to figure it out, and then they had nobody to help them with it. Well, this is more of, oh, we found these coins, and we found this ship, and we found this alien robot, and they were given some kind of guidance.
Okay, so you saw the putty right at the end when, what's that little guy's name? The little tin hat guy?
Alpha 5.
When Alpha 5 kicks that putty's ass. Did you see that?
Well, I don't know if those are putties, to be honest. I think that was just a simulation, because they talk about in the trailer of them starting to get trained, and then it shows them in a section where these guys don't look so tough. They're just holograms.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the putties are supposed to be in this. I think that they do come up, and I think that's what maybe the simulation is, a simulation of the putties that they see. Or they took the putties from being Rita Repulsa's little minions and made them just generic things for them to fight in the simulation.
That could very well be.
Okay, so,
I would like to bring up one other fact. Did you notice Rita's staff at all?
That big fucking gold staff that she has, yeah.
If you're paying attention, there's a little green coin.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Setting up the Green Ranger, yeah.
Yeah, which, if they do make a sequel and that's what it's based around, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that.
So, the fact that she has a coin shows that maybe she was like a Power Ranger on a different world, maybe?
That could be, but in the original series, she had the green coin anyways, and that wasn't the source of her power. It could just be like an amplifier or something like that.
Yeah.
But what the Green Ranger story arc, Green with Envy, it's probably one of my favorite TV arcs I've seen in a long time. Or maybe it's just the nostalgia factor. I've watched it a few times, but...
Well, but you said you watched it recently, right?
Yeah, I watched it fairly recently, a few months ago.
Okay, so now, doesn't the Green Ranger, the Black Ranger, he's a bad guy at the beginning, right?
No. The Green Ranger is the bad guy.
Okay.
When he first gets his powers. And then over time, they break the curse on him, and then he becomes a good guy again. Then he loses his powers.
Okay.
And then he becomes the White Ranger.
Who the fuck is the Black... Oh, the Black Ranger. The Black Ranger's already there, because I'm an idiot. Hi. we watched the same thing, just so you know.
I know. We watched the same thing. I'm just more well-versed in it than you.
That's true. I mean, because I haven't watched it since I was a kid. You went through and watched it recently, and it's just not something I've ever really been interested in. I mean, there's a nostalgia factor, but I mean, the nostalgia factor only works so much on me, so... Okay, so speaking of super strength, King Arthur, pulling what is it? King Arthur Legend of the Sword. Okay, so, I guess this is supposed to be a...
Reimagining.
Reimagining, kind of in the same style as like the Robin Hood rehashing from 2010 with Russell Crowe, in that kind of same vein.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty good, actually. I mean, I was digging it. I mean, except for the fact that there's a big difference between, okay, even the King Arthur a few years ago, it was a pretty good movie, but there was no fantasy there. Merlin was more of a warlord than anything. He controlled a bunch of tribes, really, in the northern part of England. Whereas this one seems as if it's more of the fantasy, and it has the huge monsters and magic and things like that, which to me rings more true to the original myth than that movie did. And I like that. I think it looks really good, actually. And it's got, what the fuck, Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy, the guy that plays Jax. And I think that was actually a pretty good choice, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, he definitely has the rage for it. Anytime he's in combat.
Yeah.
So, he's got that down. I think it's just a good choice in general, just personality-wise. Because they're playing it as, Arthur was given up at birth or sent away or some shit.
Wasn't he?
He basically becomes a thief.
He was sent away for some reason. He went to go live with a farmer and his wife. Oh, I think I remember what it might have been. I think he was sent away because the seer or whatever said that he was going to be killed or something. And he was sent away to protect him, if I remember correctly. I don't know if that's where this is going to go anyways. But he comes back, and I think it's his brother or something like that. The legitimate heir has taken up the throne, but the one true king will be able to take the sword out of the stone, right? According to the legend. So I'm assuming that there were, massive feats of strength where men were supposed to just be able to come up and just rip it out of the stone, no problem. And these massive guys come up and, obviously the trailer doesn't show this. This is what I'm just imagining it happens. And he just kind of walks up, pulls it out, and then he's supposed to be the king. I don't know. To me, it looked like he was, in a way, exiled from the kingdom, and he was trying to come back to save it. Is that what it looked like to you?
What it looked like to me was he was sent away because he might have been threatened. His life might have been threatened. And from there, he grew up with a poor family. He didn't know that he was royalty. He became a thief on the streets. And then these people hunted down the one true king to rebel against the current one. They brought him to the Sword and Stone, and he's more against it than anything. Because he doesn't want that kind of responsibility shoved on him.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
And he pulls the sword from the stone, and from there it's just all downhill. I hate to say this, that's been done a lot.
Yeah, well, it seems like just looking at the dress and everything, and the way the guy that they got to play the reigning king, I guess you could call him.
Jude Law.
Yeah, Jude Law. The way they had him dressed and the way he looks like the typical tyrannical king. I mean, I'm sorry, that style. I mean, if you can tell what it is just from a trailer, you've made poor decisions in your movie making. You know what I mean?
But I think it's a good choice if you want a more villainous role, because Jude Law, he does great villains on occasion. So I'm curious about where it goes. It may just be your standard cookie cutter role. It may not be. Could be some gray in there, but I'm just curious.
It looks as if he is. It looks as if he's going to be the main bad guy. And if you notice that in one portion of that, it actually shows a top-down view, an aerial view of the castle, and it looks like there's a dragon or some shit buried inside the castle, ripping it to shreds. Did you see that part?
Yeah, I saw bits of that.
I mean, it only shows it for 2 or 3 seconds, and then there's these huge monsters, and the monsters look amazing in this movie. They look really good to me. And then there's that one where it's that, I'm assuming it's a wood nymph or something like that. And she just kind of bends out of a tree and looks over at Arthur. It looks pretty good. I mean, that part's obviously just prosthetics and things like that, which in my personal opinion, they typically end up looking better than the CGI. Because the CGI only holds up for so long. Because, I mean, if you look at, old CGI from the 90s, now it looks like shit.
Oh, yeah. I'm very familiar with shitty CGI.
Okay. Speaking of monsters, okay, let's talk about the Kong trailer, the Kong Skull Island trailer.
Okay.
What do you think about it? I know you said you liked it. What'd you think?
I like on a base level. It looks like it's going to be an okay movie, but it feels like they just threw together a bunch of big name actors onto it.
With Samuel L. Jackson's in it. Who else is in it?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to look it up. But John C. Reilly's in it.
Wait, what is he playing?
You remember Step Brothers? He was the guy that wasn't Will Ferrell.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I gotcha. So it's got John C. Reilly, Samuel L. Jackson. Who else that we would know?
Tom Hiddleston, John Goodman.
Yes, John Goodman.
Samuel L. Jackson.
You know what? Honestly, I love John Goodman movies. John Goodman
I
is great in movies. I mean...
Oh, brother, where art thou?
It's got Brie Larson, and she was in... What else was she in?
United States of Terror, which I didn't get to watch that. She was in 21 Jump Street, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. She was in a lot of kind of teen movies.
Yeah, but she looks familiar from something. What the fuck is it?
Let's see.
Yep, I've got nothing. She looks familiar to me. I don't know why.
John, The Gambler, Trainwreck.
I don't know, she's kind of hot. That's all I have to say.
Oh, she's playing Captain Marvel in the upcoming Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, I saw that actually. Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, a few good names in this movie. I mean, so, in the original King Kong movie, Peter Jackson King Kong was really the only monster in that movie, right?
Yeah.
But in this movie, it looks like they've got giant lizards. Are they lizards or are they dragons? What the fuck are they? They're fucking massive. I mean,
they're skull walkers. Oh.
Yeah, that's just what I call them.
You can call them whatever you want. But it's just sometimes they just mix things up or make new creatures just cause.
Well, I mean, if you go back to the original lore of King Kong, the original King Kong movies. King Kong wasn't the only monster in those movies. I mean, they even did like King Kong versus Godzilla and shit like that. So I mean,
in the original, it's saying that there were Tyrannosaurus Rex and pterodactyls and
yeah,
things like that. And then obviously at the end there was the iconic scene that everybody remembers, the Empire State Building.
Yeah,
scene.
where they shoot him off and he falls and dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen that movie, spoiler alert, go fuck yourself. You should have seen it like 50 years ago when the movie came out.
And Peter Jackson wasn't the original director or producer.
Yeah, well, Peter Jackson wasn't alive when those movies came out. I don't think most people that are alive now were not alive then. Because that movie came out in like the 30s or the 20s?
1933.
Yeah, see, that movie's fucking old. If you haven't seen it, you've done something bad with your life. I mean, you don't even necessarily have to have seen it, but if you don't know how it ends, you have done bad things with your life, and you should just restart.
Anyways, back to Kong Island.
I mean, I don't know. It looks good to me. I don't know where they're going to go with it. I'm assuming this is a kind of a rehash of the original idea of they go there, they're trying to discover something, they find this huge monkey, or ape, sorry. They get him on a ship to kind of justify their expedition to Skull Island, and then they whisk him back, and then he gets loose and captures the blonde chick, who I'm assuming Brie Larson in this movie, climbs up the Empire State Building, gets shot down, and dies.
What's coming from the summary is that a secret organization finds the island, they send a reconnaissance team to figure out if it's a threat, and then they find Kong and all this, and they're trying to figure out whether they should kill Kong as a future threat or if he's worth saving, it seems.
Completely different premise then. So basically it's about trying to possibly preserve a near extinct species, basically. Because I'm assuming, because if you notice during the Skullwalkers scenes, all those Skullwalkers are walking in and out of a bunch of giant ape skulls and bones and stuff like that.
It was essentially a Kong graveyard.
Yeah, so I'm assuming Kong himself is the last of these giant apes.
I think that's a fairly accurate assumption.
Now, I wonder what John C. Reilly's character's point is. I mean, was he sent there as a mercenary to protect this island, or did he just move there? What's the point? And then obviously there's the entire cannibal tribe, the trope cannibal tribe that is in every one of these movies. I mean, especially around the time of the original Kong, there were a lot of cannibal stories from the Amazon and from the Southeast Asia areas,
Well, it seems that John C. Reilly's role is a World War II lieutenant who, I guess was stranded on the island for 28 years.
So this isn't set in modern times, then?
Hold on 1 second. 1971.
Oh, interesting. That's a very interesting premise. A very interesting time period, I should say, to set this kind of movie in.
Yeah, normally it would be set way, way back, but it's kind of fascinating to find a more modern interpretation of it.
Yeah. I mean, because I think the original was set in...
Not as modern as I, Frankenstein, but...
Well, it wasn't I, Frankenstein set in the future anyways.
I, Frankenstein was set in the...
Not too distant future.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyways, back to the point at hand.
I don't know. I'm kind of excited for it. It looks like a good monster movie to me.
Yeah, at the end of the day, sometimes, like Pacific Rim has shown us, you just want to see a giant monster fight another giant monster.
So, Logan.
I'm excited.
Oh, I'm very excited. This looks amazing.
I've had hurt stuck in my head the past week.
Well, I mean, if you've seen any trailer in the past 5 years, you've probably got hurt stuck in your head. But that's beyond the point. Although I don't think it was in this new trailer. They didn't use that one. They used something else, but I don't remember what it was.
I just think that using that song had just good pacing. It was a great selection for it.
Oh yeah, especially for the first half of this. I don't think they used it for the new one, but for the other trailer, the previous trailer, it was a great choice. And I was excited about this movie even from that trailer, and that trailer showed almost no action whatsoever. I think it was like 10 seconds worth of action in that previous trailer, and that was just all Logan. I'm really excited about this because it's set in like some sort of gritty, distant future.
It's based off the Old Man Logan story arc in the comics.
Yeah, where isn't that a story arc? Because I haven't read a lot of comics. Where a lot of the other mutants have been killed off by the Sentinels and things like that, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% familiar with it, but the main thing that's interesting about it is it's the story arc where Logan dies.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is an old man in this even, which is really surprising because they say that he's supposed to age really slowly, but through the story arc since the very first X-Men back in 2000, I think it was, he's aged at the rate of a normal human, so he's not aging slowly, so they're making bad choices with this. I mean, I understand you can't stop Hugh Jackman from actually aging, so you can only do so much about this without skipping ahead dozens of years.
Well, I think for continuity's sake, they had to, well, aside from all the other problems with the continuity of the X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Watching
the two resets that they've done.
Watching X-Men then to Wolverine now, Hugh Jackman got fucking jacked.
Oh, yeah, he did.
His muscles have muscles. It's like a 0.5% body fat ratio.
Okay, beyond that, I mean, just like looking at this particular storyline, I mean, it looks really good. It looks as if Logan is taking care of the last person that he cares about in Professor X, obviously played by Patrick Stewart. It looks like he's taking care of the last person that he actually cares about. Looks almost post-apocalyptic. I mean, it might just be the desert setting that they've been hiding in. I mean, it has that real post-apocalyptic feel. You know what I mean?
Well, in this world, it's way in the future. And I guess the supervillains have won, and different territories of the United States belong to different villains.
Huh.
So this is a decent ways into the future.
But, I mean, Professor X was older, 17 years ago. I mean, he wasn't a spring chicken at the time. He was an older guy. He had trained, Jean and Cyclops when they were kids. And then,
honestly, I don't know how he's alive. I don't understand it.
I mean, the only thing that I can think is some sort of time jump. Somebody took him there. That's the only thing I can think.
I hate time travel.
Anyways. I mean, but I mean, there are, and not just in Marvel, but in DC, there are multiple characters that can time travel.
Oh, I'm not saying there aren't. I'm saying that I have a big beef with time travel used as a plot point.
Would you like to talk about the Flashpoint? Actually, we'll get there.
We'll save that for a different time if we don't get to it. If they do use, like, Shadowcat's projection ability to send Xavier into the future, I don't know how that would work because that's based around understanding where that person's located, isn't it?
I have no idea, honestly. But
it is kind of vague.
Here's my problem with this. So let's say that is the case, that the villains have won. Why would Logan still be alive unless he's just been running this whole time? Well, actually, no. Actually, that makes sense. That does make sense because he would be running this whole time. He would be trying to keep Professor X alive because he's the only one that could technically help him, not just him, but help people unlock the further reaches of their powers, like he did with Jean and Cyclops and blah blah blah.
Or just train them and help them work through it.
Yeah, exactly. So that might be what he was originally trying to do, but, they've been hunted for so long that he's just grown bitter because everybody that he's ever loved is dead. I mean, which is why Professor X is like, you have to take care of the girl and things like that, which is another entire thing. But I do like the little Easter egg, I guess, in the trailer where he talks about the X-Men comics. That was pretty cool. And now he's just like, yep, all of this pretty much happened, but not in this order and not this quickly or something like that. I don't remember exactly what he was saying. But it was pretty interesting. It was a cool little throwback.
Here's an alternative view of what it might be. Now, it could just be that Logan, after the villains won and destroyed the Xavier Academy and killed off a lot of the X-Men, that Logan, just to survive, had to leave. And him just trying to sort things out, or him just running, has caused him to be bitter, and he thought Xavier was dead.
And he finds him?
Yeah, and Xavier calls out to him, and Xavier has been in hiding for most of this. And Xavier comes upon the girl.
But okay, that's an interesting thing, because you told me something about this, about the girl being the female clone or something of Wolverine?
The reason I'm basing that as a theory is because of the button scene at the end of Apocalypse.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, I gotta see that movie. I'm fucking retarded.
It's hard to talk X-Men without being up to date on things. There's a button scene at the end where it has these test tubes, and it shows the company that they're for. And I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but it's the same one who makes the X-23 clone, which uses Wolverine's DNA and makes a female Wolverine, essentially.
Yeah, and that's what I was meaning is, it shows her fight. There's a couple of scenes in the trailer where it shows her fight. And, she's super agile like a younger Logan was. And then she also has, which kind of bothers me, she doesn't have bone claws. I'm wondering if maybe they already fused the metal to her to her skeleton. But I'm
pretty sure they did at a young age.
Okay, so that would make sense. She's got the metal claws.
Well, there is a problem with that.
Huh.
If they did do it at a young age, then the metal doesn't grow with her body.
So she stays a kid forever.
Well, no, she grows. It was kind of like how Logan was. He grew up, but he didn't have those metal claws to begin with. He had the bone claws.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I mean. The metal would constrict her bone growth. She'd just probably break her bones every day.
Yeah.
That's the only option, really.
Or it could be kind of like Chinese foot bonding, but this is a conversation for a different time. We'll not worry about the semantics of metal claws right now.
God, yeah.
That's a minor issue.
So, here's the one thing that I did notice. I don't know if you caught it, but she only has 2 claws, not 3.
Well, she has 2 claws on each arm, and she has a claw on each foot.
Okay, so that's interesting. Did they show the claws on her foot? On her feet?
I don't think so.
I didn't see them.
But that's how it is in the comics.
Okay.
Now, the reason why she has a more acrobatic style is because she's using the bones on her feet as well as the ones on her arms.
And that does make sense, but I mean, even when it shows like Logan when he was in the original wars, World War II and Vietnam and Korea and things like that, it shows him like jump and do all kinds of crazy shit. Like even when he was fighting alongside Sabretooth was even that agile. I mean, and they're pretty similar.
I wouldn't say leaping through the air makes somebody agile. It's their movements that do such.
Well, I mean,
theirs is more of like a flying tackle.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. Although I would say that Sabretooth is more agile than Logan.
I'd agree with that.
So maybe she got some of the genes that he got instead of some of the genes that Logan had. Maybe
no, because she's not connected to Sabretooth in any way. It's more Wolverine.
Well, but those genes are passed down from the... Well, yeah, okay, you're right. Never mind, moving on.
But that's the whole reason why it's more of an agile thing, where she can do flips and things like that. And Wolverine's not really known for using martial arts. It's more of like punch, stab, stab.
Yeah, he's got more of a street fighting brawler style.
While hers is more of an acrobatic style.
Yeah, hers is more of a martial arts, crouching tiger, hidden dragon type style, almost.
So that's the reason why it's more quote-unquote agile. Because like I said, Logan, he does jump high and jump through the air and all that, but it's not like he's doing parkour.
Yeah, he's not.
That's where I kind of draw the line at agile.
Yeah, okay, I get you on that. But yeah, I mean, the fight sequences with the both of them just look amazing. You know what I mean? And there was one particular moment in that where she uses him almost like a catapult, and it reminded me actually of one of the scenes with Sabretooth. Actually, when I saw it, I thought about that, and that's why I was thinking like the agility that. And I don't know why I applied this to Logan, but
because looking back on it, you now realize, oh, he just was like a flying mass.
Yeah. Oh Jesus Christ! They in reality they both were, but Sabretooth was a lot more agile about everything.
And I think actually I think I know the reason for that. It's because he doesn't have the big claws. He has the tips of the claws.
Yeah, he can.
Fingernails.
Yeah, and he can use them to latch onto things and things like that.
So it's kind of a different fighting style altogether.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. So now we've got we went and saw the new John Wick movie, John Wick 2. And it's funny because I remember we had talked about this right after we saw it, and you said that you didn't like it as much because it wasn't as gritty.
Okay. I retract that statement.
I know you retract this statement.
I realize now why I thought it was more gritty. It's because I got memories of John Wick confused with The Equalizer.
Oh,
it's
Jesus.
Kind of the same concept, really. It's just like this guy, he kind of lives a normal life, and all of a sudden, all these fucking assholes come into town, and all these gang members come in, and he fucking goes to town on them. Except he uses a hardware store instead of an arsenal.
Okay, so here's my, and when we talked about this originally, I think we had both agreed that we preferred John Wick 1 over John Wick 2, right?
Yeah.
So I've actually retracted that statement. I actually prefer John Wick 2 over John Wick 1. Now, hear me out on this. I mean, I get it.
I'm open to hearing your opinion.
Here's my thing. I get it. We have to have the build-up of the character. But, I mean, I'm sorry, we don't need 30 minutes of fucking silence because John Wick doesn't say a whole lot in either movie. There's a lot of, his wife died, so we have to watch him mope about that. There's one cool scene in that sequence, and that's when he's driving the car and he's riding right towards those two, in the original, riding right towards those two tractors, and then he slides and stops right before hitting them. Only good scene in that entire sequence.
You say that it went on for a while.
Yeah,
I rewatched that recently.
Yeah, so did I. That's why I said I retract that.
I think didn't that scene, like those scenes only last about 10 minutes?
I don't know. It felt like fucking forever though.
Trust me, there are scenes in movies that feel like forever for me, and then I rewatch it. It's like 3 minutes.
I rewatched it after I saw John Wick 2. So I mean. That's actually when I changed my statement, was after rewatching John Wick.
Okay. Don't those scenes drag on that much. It doesn't really bother me.
Okay, from the beginning, from the very start of the movie, to when those guys break into his house, when the action actually starts. And I'm not talking about the 3 assholes that kill his dog, because fuck those guys. Honestly, that was the worst part of that entire movie for me, was when they killed the dog. The rest of it I could totally take.
I find that fascinating that a lot of people, they can't handle watching animals get killed.
Well, and you know what? I work in healthcare, so I think that might be part of it, because I don't have the same compassion for humans as I do for animals. I just don't. So
I must not have a soul, because everybody I talk to, anytime an animal thing comes up on screen or on TV, and somebody like kills an animal, even off screen, I can't remember what movie it was, but there was a scene where a man has his head like slowly cut off, I believe, and then there's another part of the movie where a cat dies off screen. People were more upset of the cat dying off screen than they were the guy getting his head chopped off.
It just means you're more empathic than the rest of us, at least towards humanity, maybe. I don't know. Here's my thing. When it's pets, that's when I don't like it. If it's like, you have to kill an animal for food or whatever, that's completely different to me. I don't look at it as gross. I don't look at it as bad. I look at it as, well, you got to do what you got to do.
We're getting a little off topic.
Yes, we are. So, from the beginning of that movie to when they send the assassins to kill John Wick, when the Russians send the assassins, it felt like fucking forever. It was a long build-up, whereas in John Wick 2, it was this...
Wait, the action starts then for you?
The real action? I mean, what action was there before that?
Where the guys beat the shit out of him and kill his dog?
But there wasn't really any action. It was like, he gets hit in the back of the head and then gets pounded on for like 2 minutes, and then the dog dies. That's really not a lot of action, although that... Actually, you know what? Let me rephrase. When they kill the dog, like when they hit the dog, and when they're beating the shit out of John Wick, that's not the part that really got me. The part that got me was the fact that you see the drag marks of the dog trying to get back to him every time.
Wait, you think that's a dog going to him? I always thought that was John like pulling the dog close to him.
You can actually, because they do the deed to the dog pretty far away from him, and then when it shows John pulling him towards him, you can actually see a blood trail from where the dog was hit up to right next to John. And that's what gets me every time. It pulls at my heartstrings. I have a soul. I might be the devil, but...
I always assumed that John just pulled the dog to him.
No, he was unconscious the whole time.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I do. Because why would John, like, crawl his way over there, drag the dog back to where he was before?
Oh, that's true. And anyways, we're getting back on the topic of
things that don't matter.
Death in movies.
Yeah, things that don't matter again. So, anyways, but in the second one, it's like, the movie starts off just bam, just like he's going
Yeah,
out.
they just do a dead open.
Oh yeah, that thing, it's just like fucking running from the get-go. And then it has like maybe a 10-minute lull where, it sort of expands on the universe a bit, and then more action. Which, by the way, that scene when they're in Italy, not where they're picking out all the guns and stuff, but when he's going to do, which, by the way, that's actually one of my favorite sequences, when he's going through and getting all of his suits made. And
getting
the guns.
strapped up.
Yeah, all that stuff. That was really cool. I like the way that they did I need something robust, and they're talking, it sounds like they're talking about wines and liquors and things like that. They're talking about fucking guns, and it's so cool. Like, I like the way that was handled.
The reason it's so enticing is that's every little every little boy's fantasy, which is, ooh, this guy's getting strapped up to go fight, take down a bunch of dudes. I always see it as boys have a tendency to want to see just guns a-blazing and hardcore action, but they also want to see the person getting geared up to do so.
Yeah.
I think Edgar Wright talked about it in Hot Fuzz, where one of his favorite scenes was watching Nicholas Angel get strapped up with all the guns. And he just loves that scene. I understand why. It's cool watching a guy get his body armor on, get his guns strapped on, getting everything set up or preparing for a plan. And then the build up, that's the build up, and then it hits the apex when he starts executing the plan.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's a slow burn that you get to see the explosion.
Yeah. I mean, it was a cool way of doing it, and it kind of also explains in this movie, because in the first movie, the universe is there, you just don't know anything about it, how all these little businesses are connected. I mean, because John Leguizamo in the original, he's just a guy that knows John Wick, but in the second one it explains how he knows him, why they're connected, why it's all connected to the Continental.
Well, let me say something real quick. In the first one, everything's connected for some reason, but the second one expands on it.
Yeah, and that's why I like sequels so much a lot of times, is because they expand on the universe a lot more. It's almost like okay, I know the Hostel movies are shit, but I like the second one a lot, even though it was shit, because it expands on the universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's an element that a lot of directors don't look at when they're making a sequel, which is sometimes they don't look at what made the original great, and sometimes they don't think about expanding the universe.
Do you think they hit both of those points in this movie?
Yes, they did actually.
Okay, and I agree. Oh, and that was what I was going to say earlier, is I really enjoyed the music choices. I mean, and I hate dubstep. It used to give me such a headache, and I feel like a fucking old man saying that. But it's just not my style of music. I like metal. I mean, metal for some reason doesn't give me a headache unless I'm actually headbanging. But that's because, my tiny brain just bounces around inside my head. So, but the dubstep music really goes along. It makes the atmosphere in that build-up sequence up to when he's going to meet his target. That sequence is amazing, isn't it?
I think that also helps with how sharp his movements are.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, because it really just pounds it in there, like, this punch or this shot, it meets up with the beat. It feels good. You know what I mean?
It feels like it's a connection, a follow-through, and an explosion.
All at once. Yeah, I completely agree. And then, oh god, that sequence inside the catacombs.
Oh man.
Honestly, one of my favorite action sequences. And, in a way, this movie reminds me of Shoot 'em Up, because I used to say this about Shoot 'em Up. Shoot 'em Up is the best movie without a plot ever. Except I will say this for John Wick. John Wick is the best action movie with a plot ever. In my opinion, I love the action, and the plot's pretty good. Plot's not the best, but it's pretty good.
How I feel is that the John Wick series, the series so far, it set a new standard. Because with Die Hard set the first standard. And that was the formula everybody went off of. This one has now rejuvenized action. It's made it sharper. It's made it where, okay, you don't need to have a lot of a story as long as you kind of make the world interesting. It's like, who's this guy? What's his background? Why is he doing this?
And then,
you don't have to make
boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I just felt like the action started earlier. There was less pause. Honestly, it played more true to really what it was. I mean, I understand the backstory and everything, but the backstory takes so fucking long in the first one.
Arguably.
To me, it felt like it took fucking forever.
It was a good setup. It's kind of like Rampage, where you don't need a huge plot. You just need a simple idea of why he's doing it.
And that makes sense.
It's like...
But that simple idea took 45 minutes, it felt like. God.
It was needed. It was needed.
I get it, because you have to set the mood. I mean, because you can't set that depressed, just utter loss feeling in 5 minutes. You can't do it,
And what they did on top of that with the dog is they gave him hope.
Yeah, and then they
gave him another form of redemption. But on top of that, like you said, with the stereotypical villain kind of, they gave you a person that, okay, I can't help but hate this person. There's no way I can be like even frenemies. I just hate this person, and I will hate him throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah, in the second one, I didn't have that burning hatred for the main villain.
Me neither, really.
And there was one guy, the guy from Wanted that was in the movie, the guy that played the gunsmith in Wanted, played the main bodyguard for the first target of the movie. And
okay, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you know which guy I'm talking about, like specifically.
The one he stabs on the train.
Yeah, that guy, his character in this movie, I honestly wanted him to end up being friends with John Wick. They say 4 fucking words to each other in the entire fucking movie, but I wanted them to like work together almost,
Now that you mention that, I can totally see that, where he comes to an understanding that, okay, John had to do this.
Yeah.
He had to do this. I have to get over that and be pissed at the person who caused this to happen.
But the problem is he doesn't, because he has that drive. You killed my charge. You killed the person I was supposed to protect, so I have to kill you. And that takes over, and I get that too, but I wanted them to work together. That's what I wanted in my soul.
Now, the thing that bothered you about the first one, I have something that bothers me in the second one.
Okay.
And that's him constantly saying, I'm trying to get out of this life.
Yeah, I get that. Oh, God, that was kind of annoying. Honestly, he should have just embraced it.
It should have just been the beginning where he goes, I'm trying to get out of this life. And then once he goes back into it, he should just never bring it up again.
Yeah. I mean, I get, I went back into it, dipped my toe back in, did my thing, now I'm gone. But once they drag you back in, just fucking accept it. I get it, because that is kind of frustrating, the way that they just played that up. Honestly, that was the theme for the first one. That's not the theme for the second one. Move on. Oh, there was one more thing, actually, that I did want to bring up. The chick that doesn't talk. What did we think?
Russian?
Yeah, what did we think about her?
It was an interesting concept.
Yeah.
But I didn't like or hate her. I didn't feel anything about her. Oh, she's a bitch. That's about the only thing I felt.
Yeah, okay, so here's my thing. There's a point when he's in the Continental and she offers to buy him a drink. The thing about it is she can separate the two, the work from the pleasure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that about her character. She doesn't say anything, obviously, she's mute, but I appreciated, because first off, she was a great actress. She could actually portray character without saying anything. And I think that really speaks volumes about her as an actress.
I'm not saying that the actress was bad or anything like that.
No, I understand.
I'm
I was
simply
just pointing
saying that there's nothing that she did, I guess, that made me like her any more than I disliked her. She's just kind of a neutral character. But I do see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I understand that there are just some characters that you're just not going to like, and that's fine. Not like or dislike, I guess. I mean, because I kind of felt that way about the guy who ran the homeless people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne. Oh, God, this was a really good cast.
I think John Wick 1 was a really good cast.
Yeah, well, I mean, and they brought back some of the characters. I mean, they had Alfie.
John again.
Yeah, and Alfie was in the first one. He was pretty good.
Yeah, except Alfie Allen was not in the second one, obviously.
Well, yeah, he dies in the first one. So let's go to our retro review. I guess this week we're going to talk about Cube. It's a 1997 film. Pretty good movie, actually. When I was in high school, it was my favorite movie ever. You'd seen it before as well, right?
Yeah, it'd been a while. I believe I watched it on Stars long ago. Very long ago. But it was a fascinating concept.
Oh, yeah. It was great. I mean, I remember did you watch the 2 sequels? Or the sequel and the prequel, I guess you could say?
I didn't watch the sequel and the prequel because I didn't have the time to. Well, I had the time to, but I just
didn't. So, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, the Cube is basically it's a science fiction movie. It was a Canadian movie made back in 1997. The basic premise of it is this group of people wake up inside of basically pretty large cube rooms, not remembering how they got there or why they're there. They barely remember who they are. And they're kind of trying to find their way out of this cube. And I don't know.
They each, well, another thing to bring up is they each loosely have a set of skills that's necessary to solving it.
Yeah, that's true. You know, some of these rooms are booby-trapped. Like, the opening sequence of the movie shows this guy, he climbs into this other room, drops down, walks like 2 feet, like 2 steps, and then just stops. And then
you just hear a slicing sound.
Yeah, and he just starts to fall apart into a bunch of cubes. He dies, obviously. And each, you know, some of these rooms can be trapped, some can't, and things like that. It's a really interesting premise, like a psychological sci-fi movie, you know. Really good cast. I mean, I've only seen one of them in anything else since then.
Levin?
Yeah, Levin. She plays, yeah, she played the main female protagonist in The Dead Zone. Never saw the show, don't really give a shit.
I really like the concept of it, where you're trying to get through this death maze, and each of the traps has its own trigger. And the way they figure out how to find the traps is through shooing, which I don't know if they don't coin the term in that movie.
No, they call it boot it. They boot it because they're wearing boots, not shoes. Either way.
Maybe shoeing is the fan term. Anyways, so what they do is they take their boot and they take the laces off their boots and they toss the boot in to see if the trap triggers, and they reel it back up with the shoelace in case there's some other trap. But you throw your shoe in, the trap goes off, and you know that's a bad room. Well, they do that and they slowly try to figure out what rooms are safe and where not, and then they figure out a concept that you need to find prime numbers, and those are the safe rooms. Which later it turns out you need to find the power of the prime number. And if it's all odd or all even, I think. If it's all even, then it's a trapped room. And if it's not, then it's a safe room.
Well, and the funny thing is there's an entire sequence in the middle of the movie where they had been trying the prime number. Somebody dies. Who was it that died? The fucking escape artist guy. So there's this old escape artist guy. He escapes from prisons and things like that. He gets thrown in there with these people. I guess we should probably kind of go over who these people are, like a basic description.
There's the cop. There's the
black cop guy, which is Levin.
There's the girl who's the
student. She's a student.
She's a student who's a math prodigy, I guess.
Yeah. Then you have the old hippie activist lady.
Who's also a doctor.
I'm assuming she's a doctor of some sort of, like, crystallology or some shit like that. That's just kind of... I mean, because she's, like, the military-industrial complex. She's basically Alex Jones meets crazy feminist lady meets I Talk to Dolphins lady. You know? Fucking crystallology and fucking magnets heal you and shit. That's basically what she is. Yeah, pyramid powers. Oh my god.
Anyways, away from pyramid power.
And then
there's the guy who's mentally inept.
Yeah.
And you don't really know what his role is throughout the entire film until near the end, where it turns out that he's kind of a savant.
Oh, wait, we forgot one guy. The apathetic loser guy.
Apathetic loser, that's right.
Yeah. Oh god.
How could we forget the apathetic loser?
I don't know, maybe I have some apathy towards him. Anyways, stupid puns aside. So, what, about halfway through the film or so, they figure out, or no, probably about like a third of the way through the film, they figure out the prime numbers thing. Then the old escape artist guy gets his fucking face melted in.
That shows that you're not saved just by prime numbers.
They figure out some of the traps are triggered by moisture, some are triggered by pressure, some are triggered by temperature. I mean, they can be triggered. Yeah, they can be triggered by anything. Which the sound one is fucking amazing because they're just like Kazan, who's the mentally disabled guy. He just goes, huh, and then all these spikes in this one room just like come out from everywhere, and that was just that was an amazing sequence. Even the part where they're climbing through,
the tensest scene in the entire movie.
It was so good
because it's quiet. There's no music.
It's dead.
You watching them be quiet,
and you hold your breath during it, don't you? Like the first time you see it, you're sitting there and you're holding your breath. You're just like, I don't want to set off the trap because they'll die. It was pretty good. I liked it. And then basically what happens is there's like this entire 5-minute sequence where Levin is trying to figure out, how to figure out which rooms are trapped and which ones aren't, because obviously her system doesn't work 100% of the time. And then you find out that Kazan is the idiot savant, and he can basically tell you the powers of primes of these, what are they, like 9-digit numbers?
Yeah. It's heavy. It's like 4 or 5 numbers, and it's supposed to be a coordinate system they have within this tesseract, and that's how they figure out where they're at within inside the thing. Which later on they find out that each room moves to a certain sequence. What comes from it is they find out that you need to have the powers of Prime, but these are like up in the 600, 900 range. And once it gets up to that high, it's hard to figure out all the Prime factors and then the powers of them.
Yeah, it's just impossible to do it in your head. You'd have to have a computer to do it. Then you find out Kazan is a computer, basically. Honestly, you need to watch at least the third movie that they made, which was called Cube Zero. It's a prequel. It's a pretty good movie. The second one's kind of dumb.
Now, the thing that I loved most about this movie, which I'm sure you'll agree with, set design.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing. I mean, it was basically, what was it, like a 12 by 12 by 12 room?
Yeah, and all they needed really was 3 sets of cubes, because you needed one to go side to side, and then you needed one on top of it so you go from up to down.
Not even that, honestly. You didn't even need that. All you needed was green screen.
Well, this was done on a budget. I don't think they had a whole lot of green screen.
Green screen is cheap.
Oh, that's true. I guess for that one scene where they look outside the cube and it's just darkness.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's probably one of them.
You know, the one thing that I never really did understand about that movie is, you know, they obviously the cubes moved around and stuff like that. But how did they not notice it sooner? Because they were in there, according to the lore of the movie, they were in there for like 2 days. How did they not notice that they were moving before that?
Well, if you're trapped inside of a room that looks like all the other rooms that you're traveling through.
Yeah, you might not notice.
And all of a sudden you feel this shaking, you don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, for all they knew,
no windows.
It could have been air conditioning, but they even point that out. It's like, air conditioning? It's so hot. It can't be air conditioning. I don't know. Anyways, it's a really good movie. It gets pretty tense about halfway through. Pretty good movie. I would definitely suggest it. It was one of my favorite movies when I was a teenager. And you know, it's funny because I remember back in high school, I was like, somebody should make a game out of this. Did you ever think that actually?
Yeah, I really did.
And you know, it's funny because and I know we've both played this. We played this together. We played it. I've actually streamed this game, but probably about a month ago, I found Cube the game basically. And I actually shared this with you. It's called Half Dead. It's a $2.99 game or something like that. It's a super cheap game.
It's really cheap.
It is basically Cube the game. Oh, it's $1.99 on Steam. Yeah.
Yeah, the only difference is you don't have to get to the bridge, and you don't go up and down.
Yeah, there's no up and down. It's just, you can vary the size of the thing, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and you don't have to figure out math, of course, because that would be fucking retarded, because you would never finish the game. You just sit there and go, I don't know what the numbers mean. Moving on.
What do they mean?
But basically, you start out with 2 boots. You chuck a boot in a room. If the boot explodes, or if the room, you know, gets this laser mesh that will remind you of a certain movie, not naming any names, but has zombies. And they actually have that trap in the game. The fucking laser trap from Resident Evil.
Not naming any names.
Well, I don't name names. I don't kiss and tell.
Anyways. So they have the laser trap, they have acid traps, they have bomb traps, then they have psychos and other people inside the cube.
The suicide bombers.
Yeah.
It's a pretty decent game. For $2, it's great. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've bought another game for $2 that I enjoyed more, you know.
And it's fun because it's only a good game if you have a bunch of people there.
Yeah, playing by yourself blows. I've done it.
So you definitely want to play with friends. And it's kind of tense because you throw the boot in, and if you're down to no boots, it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, you have to chance it. Oh, God, it's horrible. The worst part about it, for me, honestly, the part that really kills the game for me, is the voice acting of the chainsaw guys.
All it is the people on the development team kind of making noises for the game.
You can't fault them for $2. It's $2. Just remember that when you think of the voice acting. But I mean, in general, the game, it's not bad, especially for $2. I mean,
I always say this about video games. If the game is fun, then it's achieved its goal.
Well, and, you know, I definitely look at it as, you know, did I get my money's worth? Just in time-wise, I've definitely got my $2 worth. But beyond that, the enjoyment that I've gotten out of it, because I've played it with a few different people, the enjoyment I've gotten out of this has been well worth the money that I spent on it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, most, you know, big blockbuster games, I feel, honestly, like I don't get my money's worth at all. Not even close. I feel like I've gotten more enjoyment out of cheaper games like this one than I ever will out of a Call of Duty anymore. You know, Call of Duty is just repetition. This one is too, but this one cost me $2.
Sometimes novelty games have more enjoyment aspects in them than the big name blockbusters do. Just because the big name blockbusters usually have to be, the money's pushed more toward design and graphics and things like that. And then sometimes the elements that they have in it aren't that great. And to be honest, there's a point where I don't care about graphics anymore and I care more about gameplay. Like, I really enjoy Devil May Cry, and the graphics from Devil May Cry aren't great by any means, but I like playing it because of the mechanics.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if we're talking about the original Devil May Cry, I mean, you're not going to have great graphics out of that game anymore.
So it's just mechanics versus graphics, graphics versus mechanics. There's some people who can thrive on graphics alone, but I need a solid game, like solid gameplay.
And story.
Really enjoy something.
Yeah, and a good story. Well, I mean, not even necessarily a good story, because, I mean, multiplayer games, you don't really have much of a story out of them.
Well, I'll say this. One of my favorite games to play ever was Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
The game adaptation of the movie.
The Tobey Maguire movie?
Yeah, the Tobey Maguire movie.
Okay.
It was the game adaptation of that, because it was the first time that I could ever recall where you could travel in every direction. Up, down, side, side, left, right. You could travel anywhere, in any direction. You climb up buildings, you swing off them. And I just loved just swinging around Manhattan. It was just so much fucking fun. Seeing how far I could launch myself while fighting people.
Anyway, so, yeah, I mean, Half-Dead was really good. I mean, the game mechanics versus the graphics, I completely agree that sometimes you just need better mechanics over graphics, and I mean, that's really what it is that there's no story to it. I mean, it's just literally you get to the end of the thing.
I don't need to see every fiber of a character's hair move.
I agree. So yeah, pretty much that's pretty much it for this episode. I know it's a bit long, and I'm sorry, but you know, we're trying to catch up on a whole lot of things, preparing for some movies that we're gonna actually go see and review and things like that. Obviously,
Power Rangers, Skull Island, all that.
Yeah, let's see the movies that we've got that we're probably gonna go end up seeing: Power Rangers, Alien Covenant, King Arthur, Kong, Logan. All these movies we're probably going to do some sort of review.
Also, any other movies that you might want to talk about.
Oh, and in the next episode, let's talk about, you know, so in future episodes, anything that you think that we might want to review, or anything that you'd like to hear us talk about, go ahead and just leave us a comment. Hit us up on Twitter. All of our contact information is going to be down in the low bar. Definitely hit us up. And in the next episode, actually, we're going to be going over some TV shows. If I'm correct, right? That's the plan. We're going to actually have another episode coming out here in a few days, and then future episodes after this we'll probably have it all tied together in one single episode. It's just that there's so much to go over right now. So we are sorry about this.
It's almost overwhelming.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's just, you know, starting up this new format for ourselves.
We're still trying to get the format that we want to go with.
Yeah, so please be patient with us. If you have any comments, you know, any concerns, anything, any ideas, any tips, yeah, just hit us up. We're definitely willing to talk. So thank you guys for coming and checking this out. Yeah, we will see you guys in the next episode, probably in a couple days, 2-3 days.
Then we will talk about Flashpoint.
Oh, fucking Flashpoint. Okay, thanks, guys. Say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.